Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with a dragon maid? Part 2. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. It's been a week since the new addition of Cana to the Uzumaki family. It certainly was different, having a child to raise, though luckily Cana is self-sufficient, being a dragon and all. It was thanks to this Cana could be left in the apartment alone, but usually she had at least Toru there with her, but there were times when Toru had to go to work shifts at the cafe, so the little dragon would often come to work with Naruto and Toru. Of course, as soon as she was introduced, Georgie practically fell in love with her, saying how cute she is and how she should introduce her to her little sister Raiko. The other maids from the cafe weren't any better. It also didn't help that Cana seemed to always want to be attached to Naruto, whether it's as a piggyback rider sitting on his shoulders. Not that he minded, as her hanging on didn't get in the way of his cooking. In fact, it seemed to attract more customers and earned him the nickname Naruto, something Kobayashi and Georgie teased him endlessly for. Currently it's evening on a Saturday. Naruto, Toru and Cana are waiting for Kobayashi to finally come home from work. Cana was sitting in her favorite spot, Naruto's lap, getting her lightning-charged head pats as usual, and Toru was leaning against him from the right, basking in the warmth of his chakra, while all three watched TV. Suddenly all three hear the door open, and Kobayashi come in. "I'm home," she says with a tired smile. Cana jumps off Naruto's lap and hugs Kobayashi's waist. "Welcome back, Kobayashi," to which the red-heated woman rubs her head affectionately. Toru then walks up and kisses her mistress on the cheek. "Welcome back, Milady." Toru then takes Kobayashi's coat and bag to hang up, then goes to the kitchen to start preparing dinner. Finally, Naruto steps up and kisses his wife on the lips. "Welcome back, Maiko. How was work today? We finally were able to finish the big project we were working on, so thing will finally be slow for a while," she says while stretching out her back. "Can you give me a massage while Toru gets dinner ready? I really need one right now." Naruto just smiles. "Sure, go get changed into something more comfortable." "Thanks, Naru," she says as she kisses him again and goes to their room to get changed. Naruto too then feels a pull on his pants, looking down to see Cana trying to get his attention. "Yes, Cana. Why does Kobayashi need a massage after work? Does it have to do with fighting Hades in her death march?" the little dragon asks with a tilt of her head. "What the heck? Hades?" Naruto sweat drops. Yeah, sure, when she works hard, she gets stiff, so I give her a massage so she doesn't develop back problems later." She looks down thinking, "Can you give me a massage too?" she asks looking up at him. Naruto just chuckles. "Sure, Cana, but after Kobayashi, as she worked really hard this week." Cana visibly lights up at him, agreeing to give her a massage too. "Okay." After this, Kobayashi walks out with her hair down and in a white tank top, loose gray sweatpants that show the high waistband of her panties. "I'm ready, Naruto," she says as she lays down stomach first on the couch. Walking over to her with Cana clinging to his back, she was somehow able to climb onto him while he was distracted by his wife coming into the room. Getting to the couch and sitting on her thighs, he channels yang chakra to his fingers. Starting by gently massaging her shoulders and neck, Kobayashi closes her eyes and sighs in contentment. Next he moves to the middle of her back, adding just enough pressure to loosen the kinks and yang chakra to repair any damage. "So, I was thinking that maybe tomorrow we could go out for a picnic," he says while working on a very stubborn knot in her lower back. "And what brought this on?" she asks, slightly moaning from all of her stress being melted away. "Well, Cana seems to want to go outside to play, and no doubt a dragon's definition of play is different than ours, so she'll need a lot of space, and I could use the workout too," he says, getting off her as going any lower wouldn't be wise due to Cana being in the room, or more specifically on his back. Kobayashi mewls in disappointment but gets up as she understands they can't do risque things in the open anymore due to having Cana here. There's been more than one occasion where the lowly dragon has walked in right as they were about to get going. So, she just decides to sit on the couch while Naruto puts the girl on his lap. Kobayashi watches as her husband massages the young girl's shoulders, his fingers sometimes sparking with electricity, and Cana closing her eyes at the feeling, clearly liking it. The scene makes her smile, and she leans her head on Naruto's shoulder as she flips through channels for something to watch. 10 minutes later, Toru finishes preparing the food and they all eat as a family, sharing how their day went and the plans for a picnic tomorrow. After dinner, the four of them settle down for the night, though this time Cana adamantly wishes to sleep in the same bed as Naruto and Kobayashi. It not being the first time she made such a request, the couple acquiesces and they all go to bed, Naruto in the middle, Kobayashi on his right, Toru on his left and Cana on his chest. Next morning. Waking up earlier than usual, Naruto makes a shadow clone and substitutes himself with it as to not wake up anyone else. Getting dressed, he goes to the kitchen to start on the food they will be eating on the picnic. An hour later Toru can be seen walking out of the bedroom with her usual maid outfit on, looking towards the kitchen. She is surprised to see her master, Lord Naruto. I guess that was a clone of yours in bed still sleeping. Yup, I didn't want to disturb any of you, so I switched with it, he says as Toru enters the kitchen, and she kisses him on the cheek as a greeting, then continues to the fridge to get eggs so she can make omelets for breakfast. The two continue to work in relative silence, Naruto sealing up the food they'll be eating, and Toru finally finishing up breakfast and plating it. As the last plate is put down, Kobayashi and Naruto's clone, who had a still sleepy Cana in his arms. Settling the sleepy dragon in her chair, the clone disappears, and the original then puts an omelette in front of her, and the scent of breakfast finally wakes her up as she digs in. Kobayashi, watching the entertaining scene of Cana gorging herself on breakfast, goes up to Toru and kisses her on the cheek, then kisses the original Naruto. Good morning you two. Good morning Lady Kobayashi, Toru says as she places the last of the breakfast on the table and sits near Cana, wiping her face and scolding her for bad table manners. Morning Kobayashi, Naruto says sitting across the two dragons with his wife by his side. After breakfast was done, everyone went to get ready for the picnic. Kobayashi decided to wear something different than normal, a white collared shirt with a pink sweater on top, a yellow skirt that falls below the knees and white flats. She also decided to do away with her signature combo, having her down with a white bow in the back and no glasses. Whoa, look who decided to dress up today, Naruto says as he meets Kobayashi in the living room. He is wearing a larger orange t-shirt that has pocket on the front, brown capris and brown slip-on shoes. Naruto also decided to keep his hair in a ponytail. Wow Lady Kobayashi, you look beautiful. An excited Toru says as she and Cana come out of their shared room that they barely use. Toru is wearing a pink sweater with quarter sleeves and a blue skirt that stops mid-thigh. She also has her tail and horns on display, and her hair is in its usual twin tails. Cana nods along. Kobayashi looks very pretty. Cana is wearing a simple pink dress that ends in white frills, her usual stockings, pink shoes and her hair still styled in twin tails with a black bow on her head. Kobayashi blushes and looks away at all the praise. Thank you everyone, she then turns to the two dragons, and you both look very cute as well, she compliments, causing the two to light up, and Naruto walks up next to her. She's right you two, you both look amazing as well, Naruto says, is everyone ready to go? Getting nods from everyone else, he opens his arms, and Kobayashi jumps into them bridal style. Looking at Toru and Cana, he asks, do you guys know how to cloak yourselves, or do you need me to put an illusion over you? Toru shakes her head, I can use perception blocking, but Cana doesn't know it yet so I can put it on for her, Toru says, taking her wings out. Okay, let's do that then, just follow behind me, I know a place that's perfectly private so you two can play to your heart's content, he says while going to the balcony, covering himself and Kobayashi in a game jutsu to everyone but Toru and Cana, and starts flying away. Cana, let's go. Toru exclaims happily as she covers herself, then Cana in a green glow, then takes off after her two masters. Okay Lady Toru, unfurling her white feathery wings, the young dragon follows after as well. Plains outside of Japan. A few minutes later, Naruto with Kobayashi in his arms, Toru and Cana land in a random grassy plain far from Japan's mainland. Okay everyone, we're here, Naruto announces as he sets down Kobayashi. This is the place I usually go if I want to work out or train my skills, so you guys can go all out since I have a barrier up. Naruto then unseals a picnic basket and blanket, setting them on the ground, with Kobayashi sitting on said blanket. You two have fun, Naruto, and I will wait till you finish before we eat, Kobayashi says, making Naruto sit next to her. Okay Lady Kobayashi, Toru says while Cana bounces up and down in excitement, come on Cana, let's play tag. With that last exclamation, both dragons took off at high speeds, leaving deep craters in the ground. Naruto whistles at the action, they must have been really pent up huh? Naruto says to Kobayashi as he lays his head on her lap, watching the two streaks of purple and orange duck and dive through the sky. Yay, we should probably do this more often, especially since work is going to be slower for me with that project finished, Kobayashi says in reply as she runs her hand through his wild locks. Naruto just makes a sound of agreement in response as he closes his eyes, liking the feeling of his wife playing with his hair. Suddenly a beam of orange energy flies in the direction of the married couple, but it ricochets off an invisible barrier Naruto had the foresight to put up beforehand. Sheesh, those two don't hold back, do they? Naruto says, opening his eyes and sitting up. At least they're having fun, Kobayashi says before whispering in his ear, now come lay down, I wanna cuddle. Kobayashi then brings her husband down to lay on the blanket with her. Yes ma'am, Naruto says, letting himself be brought down to lay on his back while his wife snuggled into his side as they watched the two dragons they took into their home play fight. Oop, it looks like Cana's been watching too much, and Naruto idly comments as the small dragon brings her hands together and fires off a beam of electricity like a Kamehameha after tossing Toru in the air. Toru then sticks out her hand, dissipating the attack and firing her own beam of fire from her mouth down at Cana, making the girl dodge and carve a deep trench in the ground. As the two stand and face off once again, Kobayashi could practically feel her husband's excitement and want to join the two dragons. Go ahead Naru, I know you want to join them too, Kobayashi says with a smile on her face, go have fun, you rarely get to let loose as well, and I'm nowhere near your level when we train together, she states when he gives her an unsure look, don't mind me, I'll sit back and watch the show. Naruto grinned widely and kissed her, you're the best wife ever, you know that. Kobayashi just giggled at his excitement before he takes off to meet with Toru and Cana in the air. Naridi just looks up with a content smile on her face as Naruto, Toru and Cana all have smiles on their faces from the game they are playing. Kinda makes me wish I could fly too, she mutters before closing her eyes and dozing off. An hour later. Waking up from her small nap, she sees a lightly sweating Naruto, a practically drenched Toru, and finally a dead tired Cana that is currently resting on his shoulders. Kobayashi just raises an eyebrow, what did I miss? Nothing much, just decided to give these two a little sparing session. Lord Naruto is strong, Toru says in between intakes of air, probably as strong as Miss Luco, she adds to herself in afterthought. Hungry Cana tiredly mumbles from her perch atop Naruto's head, causing said blonde and his wife to chuckle. Alright, let's eat. You both deserve it after the workout gave you, Naruto says with amusement on his face as he takes Cana off his shoulders and sits her on his lap so he can feed her. Toru just nods tiredly as sits next to Kobayashi, leaning her head on her mistress's shoulder. Don't worry Toru, you just rest and I'll feed you as well, Kobayashi says, moving the blonde dragon's head to rest in her lap. For the rest of the day the Uzumaki family relaxed and ate to their heart's content, trading stories and enjoying each other's company until it was time to return home. Since Cana was already in deep sleep, Naruto decided to just teleport home instead of fly. Uzumaki apartment. Heading home and putting an already sleeping Cana to bed, Toru decides to join Cana in their shared room since she is pretty exhausted as well, leaving just Naruto and Kobayashi in the master bedroom. Kobayashi and Naruto were currently getting undressed so they could go take a bath together. Getting to the bathroom they take turns washing the other's back before finally settling to soak in the tub. Kobayashi is currently leaning back against Naruto's chest when she suddenly speaks up, you know, you may have gone a bit too hard on them, she says, turning her head to look back at her husband with an amused smirk. Even Toru was too tired to do anything else. You can be a real slave driver when you want to. Reminds me of our first training session. Naruto just chuckles at the accusation, yay, I tend to get a bit excited when it comes to teaching people, but at least now you could throw down with the best of them, he says as he starts playing with her hair. Yay, though seeing you guys in the air makes me wish I could fly too, Kobayashi says, leaning into his hand and closing her eyes in satisfaction at the feeling. Well, I could always teach you the same flight jutsu the third Tsuchikage used during the war, since you do technically have chakra, Naruto says to himself, causing Kobayashi to perk up. Though it will be a lot of hard work, especially since you weren't born with it like my people were. I don't mind at all, Kobayashi says excitedly, already imagining taking to the skies with Naruto, Toru and Cana, especially during festivals when fireworks are shot off. Alright, I'll start teaching more chakra theory then, instead of just strength training like before, he says before getting another idea, and while I'm at it, I could teach Toru and Cana a few moves, since all they seem to know is shooting beams from their mouths and hands. Kobayashi chuckles and starts to get up from the bath. That sounds like a good idea, now come on, let's go to bed, she says before remembering something. Oh yay, the company is having that flower viewing party this upcoming weekend, and I don't want to go since the booze would suck, and I can't exactly get drunk in front of my boss, she says matter-of-factly. Causing Naruto to look at her with a deadpan. You're very blunt, aren't you? He says sweat dropping. Kobayashi just nods her head while drying herself off. Yup, it's why you love me, but anyways, Takiya gave me the bright idea to just have a party here, so I won't be obligated to go to the company party. Naruto bobs his head in agreement, that's fine with me, I'll tell Toru tomorrow, he then grins mischievously, I'll even break out the Mount Myaboku sake. The Redeed suddenly halts drying herself and turns around with a huge smile on her face, really? Seeing Naruto nods she jumps back into the tub and hugs him tightly, ooh oh now I can't wait. I love that stuff so much. Yay, but you get plastered after like 4 cups, he says while holding his excited wife with a raised eyebrow. That's what makes it great. Plus, it's been like a year and a half since you brought it out, it's also the best sake I've had in my life. Naruto just laughs and stands up, taking his wife into his arms as he does, well that's enough for one night, let's head to bed, you have work in the morning after all. Drying his wife and himself off with a towel, the two then get dressed in their own nightwear and lay in bed together. I'll tell Toru about it tomorrow morning so she can go grocery shopping for ingredients. Kobayashi just snuggles deeper into her husband's side and yawns, sounds like a plan, make sure she buys regular sake too. I will, good night Ryuko. Good night Naru. Following weekend. It was the day of the party and just as they discussed last Sunday, Naruto had informed Toru and sent her to get the ingredients needed. Their maid had also asked permission to invite friends as well which both Naruto and Kobayashi agreed to. Naruto had also asked Georgie if she wanted to come as well, but she was having a get-together with family. Now, Naruto, Toru and Cana are waiting for Kobayashi and her coworker, Takiya, to come back from work. I'm home. Kobayashi says aloud walking into the apartment as Toru, Cana and Naruto walk, or run in Cana's case, up to greet her and their guest. Takiya is the same age as Kobayashi, with straight black hair that stops above his shoulders and black eyes. He is wearing a button-up white dress shirt, a blue tie and a navy blue suit jacket with pants to match. He also wears a green overcoat with a dark brown messenger bag. Hello, I'm Makoto Takiya, Kobayashi's coworker. It's nice to finally meet you too, and it is nice to see you again as well Naruto. Takiya greets politely before focusing on Cana, and I like your goth loli cosplay, he says which just makes the young girl tilt her head in confusion. Chuckling at the interaction, Naruto decided to speak up, most of the food's already done, so we can start as soon as our other guests arrive, he comments as the group head toward the living room. Speaking of which, how long till your friends arrive Toru? They should be here soon. She is suddenly cut off by the ringing of the doorbell. Ah, that should be one of them now, she says going up to the door. However when she opens the door they are met by the sight of what could only be a purple-skinned demon with sharp teeth, horns and red eyes. Acting quickly Toru shuts the door with a nervous smile on her face. Haha, please wait a moment. She then slightly opens the door and talks in a whisper, Mr. Fafner, please make yourself like the picture I sent you. Ugh, this world is so stifling. A burst of smoke appears, followed by Toru opening the door to reveal a handsome young man with straight black hair and a loose ponytail with bangs covering his right eye, small glasses on his nose, red slitted eyes, and wearing a butler's attire. It makes me want to end it. Hey? Sasuke. Naruto thinks to himself, seeing the resemblance with not only the black hair and red eyes, but the brooding attitude too. Toru just chuckles nervously, don't mind Mr. Fafner, he's just used to keeping to himself, he's a cursed dragon that's been guarding his treasure since ancient times after all. Just as she says that the doorbell rings once more, ah that's the other friend I invited. When she opens the door a woman steps in. Hello Toru, it's been a while. Yes it has, Lord Naruto, Lady Kobayashi this is Miss Quetzalcoatl, Toru says introducing the latest guest. It's nice to meet you both, and you can just call me Luco. The now named Luco has long, wavy blonde hair that changes from green to blue at the tips under a pink cap that has horns sticking out from either side, eyes that she seemed to want to keep closed, a black choker around her neck, pink tennis shoes, black stockings mid-thigh stockings, jean booty shorts that hug her shapely hips tightly. And finally a black low-cut tank top that exposes her lean stomach and ample cleavage. Holy shit. Were the simultaneous thoughts of the husband and wife duo. The woman in front of them left almost nothing to the imagination with the outfit she wore, and from the way her breasts bounced with every movement she made, it was obvious she isn't wearing a bra. Do all female dragons have big tits? Kobayashi muttered to herself just barely loud enough for Naruto to hear, and he couldn't help but wonder the same in his head. Shaking out their thoughts and trying hard not to stare, more so in Kobayashi's case, the two introduced themselves to the provocative woman. Nice to meet you. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and this is my wife. He turns to let Kobayashi introduce herself, but she is currently drooling while staring Luco up and down. Oi Kobayashi. Stop staring and introduce yourself. He says, whispering in her ear. This causes his wife to snap out of her daydream and chuckle nervously. Ah, sorry about that. I'm Maiko Uzumaki, but you can just call me Kobayashi, she says politely before asking, by the way, did you walk here in that outfit? Yes, I did, Luco responds, and Kobayashi just nods her head rapidly. Very good, she says to herself before turning to Naruto and giving him a thumbs up, I approve. This just makes Luco tilt her head in confusion and Naruto to sigh before lightly chopping the top of her head and saying, just go get changed. Chuckling lightly, Kobayashi goes to do just that. Coming out a few minutes later, she comes out wearing a green hoodie, tan pants and socks, with glasses still on, and her hair done in a ponytail. Looking over and seeing Fafner being oddly serious while playing on their game console, she sits down at dining table next to Naruto. He seems hooked huh? Naruto just sweat drops, yeah, but he keeps falling for every mimic chest, even when Takiya tells him it's one. Kobayashi just chuckles and looks in the kitchen to see Toru preparing more food for their guests. I'm surprised you aren't in there with her. Naruto just huffs, crossing his arms, well I would be, but she insisted I sit back and enjoy myself. But I must admit it is pretty entertaining to watch Fafner slowly turn into a gaming addict. The two then sit in a comfortable silence until Luco comes and sits in the chair opposite of them. She then turns her head slightly to look at Toru in the kitchen with a smile on her face. You know, it's been a long time since I've seen Toru smile so brightly. It must be thanks to you too. Naruto just tilts his head. We just did what anyone would do though. Kobayashi nods her head along. It really wasn't a big deal. Luco just chuckles. You two really are different from any beings I've met before. People don't usually go out of their way to help others, especially in the world where we're from. Well, bringing Toru in was one of the best decisions we've made. She's definitely made life a lot more fun, Naruto says with a small smile, making Luco smile as well. Food's ready. Toru states, holding 2 trays in her hands. Well, time to eat, Kobayashi says before looking to Luco. Do you drink alcohol? Luco just looks down with her cap shading her eyes. Sure, just let me make sure it isn't cursed first. This catches the couple off guard. Huh? Cursed? Naruto asks. Oh. A long time ago Miss Luco was driven out of her seat as a goddess because of cursed alcohol. She was forced to drink from some liquor that her comrade cursed and in her drunken state went to her little sister and had see Toru's explanation was cut off by a flustered Luco. Oh no. Don't say it. She exclaims while waving her hands around. Naruto and Kobayashi just sweat drop and Kobayashi whispers to Naruto, even dragons have it rough sometimes, huh? Naruto just nods in agreement before coughing in his fist to get the ex-goddess's attention. Well, you don't have to worry about any curses, but you can check if you want. I made this stuff myself from a recipe I learned, Naruto says before unsealing a gourd of sake with the label Mount Myaboku on it. Taking the bottle from the blonde man in front of her, she takes off the cork and takes a sniff of the contents. Immediately her nose is assaulted by a heavenly scent. This was even better than what she's had back when she was a goddess. Drooling a bit and with hearts in her now revealed heterochromic eyes, she holds the bottle almost reverently. This isn't cursed, this is blessed. She turns her gaze to Naruto. Are you the god of sake? Kobayashi gets up from her chair with stars in her eyes and starts laughing. I know, right? I keep telling him if he sold the stuff he'd make an even bigger killing than the books he writes. Naruto just rolls his eyes. That stuff makes people drunk way too quick. It could make gods blackout drunk with just a bottle or 2, though it would take me probably 3, thanks to my healing factor, being basically all chakra had its perks after all. Oh? You wanna put your money where your mouth is? Luco says darkly, suddenly getting competitive. There was no other god that could outdrink her even after she was exiled. That's the spirit. Kobayashi exclaims happily, we'll have a drinking competition. Oi Takiya, get over here. Toru, you too. Fafnir, you want to drink too? The black-haired dragon just waves his hand dismissively and goes back to his game, now with Cana helping him, since Takiya had gotten up to join them at the table. What's up, Kobayashi? Takiya asks, sitting at the table with Toru sitting as well after she had already served Cana and Fafnir. We're going to have a little drinking competition and see who lasts the longest. This is some strong stuff, are you up for it? See her coworker nod eagerly with a smile on his face. She turns to Naruto. Alright, pour it up. Going to a cabinet and getting 5 sake cups and putting them down in front of each person, Naruto pours the sake from the gourd to the brim. Just so you know, Takiya, this is the same sake from Kobayashi and my wedding. Takiya eyes light up with stars much in the same fashion as Kobayashi's before. That was the best sake I've ever had. Though I don't remember what happened after 3 cups, he says the last part sheepishly but becomes determined. I'll definitely reach 5 this time. Alright. You heard the man. Drink up. With a redeed's exclamation, everyone at the table downs their sake and immediately feel the burn of the alcohol down their throat, but the taste was to die for. Next round. 2 more rounds later, Takiya and Kobayashi are smashed. Takiya pulled out his glasses with swirly lenses and his teeth become bucktooth. This is him in his otaku mode, and currently he is arguing with Kobayashi about butlers in anime culture. Like I keep saying, middle-aged butlers are where it's at. The way Fafnir is out of the question. No way. Lately young, handsome, and devilish butlers are taking the world by storm. No. They need wisdom. Otherwise, what's the use? She's certainly more outgoing when she's drunk, isn't she? Luco asks, no hint of drunkenness on her features. You don't even know the half of it, Naruto says with a chuckle, also with no sign of being drunk. The slightly tipsy Toru nods along. At least Cana's already asleep. Lady Kobayashi, it's been 5 minutes, it's time for the next round. As a group they decided it would be better to wait between rounds, as it would be no fun if everyone got drunk too fast. Alright. Are you ready to set a new record, Takiya? Absolutely. The group then downs the 4th cup and at first everything seems fine. Then Takiya passes out face first onto the table, face completely red and snoring. Welp, Takiya's down, Naruto comments idly before lifting the man up by his shoulder. I'll take him home real quick. With those words he flashes away and reappears 3 minutes later. Alright, let's continue. Takia broke his record, so I'll definitely break mine. Kobayashi says, clearly swaying side to side and having to lean against Naruto so she doesn't fall over. I believe in you, Lady Kobayashi. Toru exclaims with eyes unfocused and her cheeks red from the sake. Hell yeah. That's why I'm happy you're our maid, Toru. Oi Luco, you should be our maid too. Eh? The ex-goddess says, confused. Naruto just shakes his head, don't mind her, she gets made crazy when drunk. He then pours for the four of them, alright, 5th round. The four then down the next round only for Kobayashi's weighing to increase until she seemingly passes out on Naruto's shoulder, drooling slightly. Shaking his head with a smile on his face, he tries to pick her up and take her to their room, but she stubbornly stays seated and shakes her head. No, I want Toru to take me. Naruto just sweat drops at how childish his wife is acting, but then he sighs, Toru, can you please take Kobayashi to bed and Cana too while you're at it? Yes Lord Naruto, Toru says, swaying from side to side as she picks Kobayashi up in a fireman's carry before going to Cana and doing the same. I'll be heading to bed as well Lord Naruto, so you and Miss Luco can continue without me. Naruto once again sweat drops at the action as she sees her stumble down the hallway. I see, good night Toru. Turning to the ex-goddess in front of him, he begins to speak. Well, now that everyone else seems to have bowed out, why don't we remove the waiting period? He asks with a smile, unless you think you need the wait time. Luco just smiles and opens her eyes. No need, I accept. The two then get into a standoff staring at each other. Boy, I'm leaving. Fafnir finally speaks up, heading towards the door, abruptly ending the impromptu stare down between Naruto and Luco. Heading up, Naruto meets the cursed dragon at the door. You know you don't have to leave if you don't want to. No. I must make sure no human tries to steal from my treasure hoard, Fafnir says, walking through the door before turning around and giving the blonde man a pointed stare. And before I go, Deus, if I find you do anything to hurt Toru, I will curse you into oblivion, he says coldly, his harsh stare turning into a full-on glare. Said blonde could only chuckle lightly at the threat, causing the dragon to become irritated. Do you find my threat funny? Naruto waves him off. No, it's not like that. It's just remind me of an old friend is all. He says wistfully, looking up at the night sky. He was dark, emo and broody, but deep down, I knew he really cared for his friends. He then looks to Fafnir. You know, for a supposedly cursed dragon, you're a really good guy, Fafnir. The male dragon just turns around and scoffs, shut up, and with those last words he walks away from the apartment. Naruto once again chuckles. He's even at Sundere like Sasuke too. The blonde man then heads back into the apartment and sits across from Luco again. So you ready to continue with our little competition? The ex-goddess just nods with a smile on her face. Yes, let's. When she voices her agreement, Naruto pours for the both of them. 20 rounds later. The two blondes are now laughing with slight blushes on their cheeks to a story Naruto just told. Wait, so you mean to tell me you snuck into a clan compound filled with people that can see through walls in 360 degrees, but you somehow were able to not only glue sunglasses to their faces, but also canes in their hands? Luco says in between laughter. Haha yup, and they never could prove it was me. Naruto says, leaning back in his chair with laughter. Luco then wipes a tear from her eye. My, what a mischievous child you were, though I can't say much as I was pretty wild in my younger days as well. Naruto raises an eyebrow. Oh yeah, how? Luco just chuckles in embarrassment. I was quite the battle junkie back then, even fighting other goddesses like Ishtar and Tiamat, who I may have drop-kicked from orbit, she says, while rubbing the back of her head. That's so awesome. Naruto says aloud with stars in his eyes. We gotta fight someday, Luco. Luco smiles at his excitement. Maybe one day, Naruto, but till then let's keep going with the competition, okay? You got it, cheers. He says after he pours another round for the both of them. The bottle later. The two blondes are now sitting next to each other. The second bottle Naruto brought out is now empty, and the two of them are towing the line between tipsy and full-on drunk. During this time, they were trading stories, both the good and the bad, both happy to have finally found a drinking partner that could last as them. Somehow the two ended up laying on the couch cuddling. As they were against each other, their once idle hands began to move, roaming their bodies. If asked later who started touching who first, neither would remember, and they wouldn't care either. Lemon happened. A few minutes later. Toru is not proud of what she did to clean up the mess, but at least she feels stronger now, and the taste shaking herself from her thoughts yet again, she sets down 5 plates at the dining table and prepares to wake up her mistress in Cana. As she leaves the kitchen, and now fresh Naruto and Luco come out from the bathroom, Naruto in an orange shirt and loose gray sweatpants and Luco in a maid uniform, although different from her own. Luco's uniform consists of a black frilled and sleeveless apron top that has no back, ending in a short black skirt that barely reaches mid-thigh and thigh-high black stockings. Around her waist is another smaller white apron that rests on her lap. Her choker has been replaced by a standalone collar tied with a black string. She also has standalone frilled cuffs. Finally, her instead of a cap on her head she has the same bonnet Toru wears. I hope you know you can't go out in public like that. Naruto states with a deadpan at the choice of outfit. Luco looks at him with a tilt of her head. Why not? Because you'll be taken in for public indecency. The ex-goddess once again tilts her head with confusion causing Naruto to just sigh and shake his head. Never mind, you'll be watching Cana as she stays home alone anyway. Luco just smiles brightly, okay. Finally noticing Toru, he smiles at her. Did you finish breakfast already? Yes milord, I was just about to wake up Lady Kobayashi and Cana while you and Miss Luco were in the bath. Okay then, I'll wake up Kobayashi and you can get Cana, he says while nodding. Then he looks towards his newest maid. You can go and wait for us at the table Luco, it won't take long. Okay master, she says before kissing him on the cheek, then going towards the dining table. Going into the master bed while Toru goes to Cana's room, walking up to his still sleeping wife, he shakes her awake. Kobayashi, wake up, Toru made breakfast and we gotta go house hunting today. Groaning, the redhead opens one of her eyes. House hunting? Why? She asks, sitting up, showing she was naked under the covers. Rubbing the back of his head with a sheepish smile, let's just say your drunken wish from last night came true. Kobayashi looks at Naruto confused until it finally clicked, then she gained a shit-eating grin on her face. You fucked that dragon goddess last night, didn't you? Naruto just groans, yes, and we didn't stop till an hour ago when Toru walked in on us. When he says this his wife immediately bursts out laughing until tears start to build up in her eyes. Oh ha ha, it's very funny, now come on and get dressed, breakfast will get cold, Naruto says with fake annoyance. Okay, she says with a giggle as she gets up and goes to the clothes drawer. Putting on black panties, black yoga pants and loose white shirt, not bothering to put her hair up or put on glasses, she turns back to Naruto and follows him to the dining table. Arriving they see everyone else already sitting at the table. Naruto goes up to Cana and affectionately rubs her forehead, making sure to add lightning chakra to his hand, while Kobayashi kisses the top of her forehead. Good morning Cana, she says, then she kisses Toru on the cheek, and good morning to you too Toru. Good morning Kobayashi, Naruto, Cana says, feeling more energized from Naruto's chakra-enhanced head pat. Good morning Lady Kobayashi, Toru says, returning the kiss on the cheek. Turning to the newest addition to their house, Kobayashi has to do a double take when she sees the maid uniform Luco is wearing and has to cover her nose to stop the blood that was coming out of it. Seeing this, the ex-goddess smiles internally and speaks up in faux worry. Oh my, mistress, are you okay? Naruto, being prepared, gave Kobayashi a napkin and she uses it to wipe her bloody nose. Yeah, I'm fine. Your maid outfit surprised me is all. Taking a seat next to Cana, Kobayashi looks to Luco again. Well Luco, I'd like to say welcome to the family, but I'm pretty sure Naruto took care of that last night, she says, sending a smirk his way, and he just rolls his eyes and sits at the head of the table in response. Oh yes, the welcome lasted well into the morning too, though I won't mind a special welcome from you as well Lady Kobayashi, she says teasingly, opening one of her eyes slightly. Oh? I might take you up on that offer then. Naruto sweat drops at the conversation being had in front of him. Oh god, there's two of them now, he internally laments before coughing into his fist to gain everyone's attention. Since Luco has decided to stay with us and be a house sitter and main caregiver to Cana while Toru is at work, I thought we should move out of this apartment and get a proper house. Cana stops eating and looks at him. Can there be a backyard too? Yup, we'll try to find a place with a big one. If not, I'll see if I can convince the city to sell some land near the forest. Kobayashi just looks at him with a sly smile on her face. Is it going to be the same way you convinced Tokyo University to accept you? Naruto chuckles. I will neither confirm nor deny that statement. The dragons eating with them all tilt their heads in confusion, much to the amusement of the married couple. What way of convincing is that Lord Naruto? Toru asks. Don't worry Toru, you'll see. Now let's finish eating so we can look for a new place, yeah. Hearing voices of agreement from everyone, Naruto turns to the older blonde dragon, and Luco, you're getting changed. Tokyo streets. The Uzumaki family were currently walking towards a realtor office. Cana was sitting on Naruto's shoulders as usual, wearing her regular goth Lolita outfit. Naruto himself was wearing an orange zip-up hoodie with a small Uzumaki swirl on the back, khaki pants and brown shoes. To his right as Kobayashi was in a yellow long-sleeve shirt with a design of an eagle and tan pants. However, unlike Naruto, who has his necklace tucked in, hers was on full display, showing off its red crystal. Toru, who is wearing her usual maid outfit, was to Kobayashi's right and Luco was on Naruto's left, and she was dressed in the same outfit she arrived to their apartment in last night. The sight of the five of them stuck out to the rest of the population, especially Luco due to her clothes. Finally arriving at the office, Naruto goes up to the man sitting at the desk. Excuse me, I'm looking for a home to buy or a plot of land if you have one available. Yes, we have a few houses and some land near the outskirts of the city. the man says, looking up and seeing Naruto's eyes flash and change into a red swirl. The man's eyes dull, before seemingly coming back to life. Actually sir, I know the perfect place for you and your family. Pulling up something on his computer, there is actually a plot of land that belonged to an old family that decided to sell it. Showing the listing to Naruto, there is also an old inn already built on the land the family used to rent out to travelers. If you spruce it up you could potentially rent it out. Nodding, Naruto looks back at his family. What do you all think? Does that mean a big backyard? It means your own forest you can play in Cana. I'll follow you and Lady Kobayashi anywhere, Lord Naruto. Me too. Turning his full attention to his wife, who has yet to say anything, he asks, what about you, Kobayashi? Thinking on it for a bit, she nods with a smile on her face. It seems like a good place to start a family to me. Great. We'll take it then, he says while turning to the man. Turning his computer screen back towards himself, the man nods. Okay, let's discuss price. Naruto's eyes turn into a red swirl again. Yes. Let's. Minus 45 minutes later. After haggling for some time, Naruto and the realtor finally settled on a price that Naruto paid in full for. Now their group was headed towards their new home to find if it needs remodeling or not. Lord Naruto, what did you do to make that human's eyes glaze over like that? Toru says, asking the question on her and Luco's mind as Cana was too busy basking in Naruto's mana from her perch on his shoulders. I put him in an illusion using a technique from my homeworld. I didn't feel like following him around all day looking at different houses. Helpful in haggling down prices too. Naruto says simply. Kobayashi snorts, he used that exact same technique to get into the same college as me too. Naruto rubs the back of his head and chuckles, I honestly didn't expect it to work so well, but then again the people here don't have the same natural defenses mine did. Here it is. Walking up an old cobblestone pathway, the group of 5 walk up to the mostly intact inn. Welp, let's check out the inside. Kobayashi says as they walk past the wooden fence. The inn is a classic 2-level Japanese house with paper walls and tatami flooring. The second floor seemed to consist of rooms for any future inhabitants, as they were smaller than the ones on the first floor. The kitchen, baths and connected changing area and living room are all located on the first floor. There is at least one staircase connecting the 2 floors, and it is shown to lead from the inn's foyer and front door up to the main hallway of the second floor. The second floor also houses a small bathroom with a toilet, mirror, and sink. The first floor featured several rooms as well, but by the size these were obviously used by the old family that used to live here. Finally, the backyard is decently spacious and features a decent-sized garden. All 5 of them could agree that this inn was perfect for them to live in, so after summoning a few shadow clones to work on any minor repairs, as well as sending a few into the city under transformation, they went back to their old apartment to pack so they could officially move into the now named Uzumaki Inn. Back at the apartment with another set of clones packing, Naruto and Toru are making lunch, while Cana watched TV, and Kobayashi and Luco were waiting at the dining table while having a conversation. You know Kobayashi, I noticed you and Naru have an illusion cloaked over yourselves. The red-deeded woman looks at Luco with a raised eyebrow. I'm surprised you noticed, not even Toru or Cana has. The ex-goddess smiles, I honestly barely did, it's subtle yet powerful, and it took me till this morning to feel it. Well, let's just say being fed Naruto's chakra almost every day had some side effects on my biology. Raising an eyebrow, Luco looks at her confused, you mean besides being an immortal demigod? Chuckling sheepishly, yay, besides that. But I can't undo the illusion here, there's too much of a chance that someone could see, and these changes aren't easily played off as cosplay like your horns are. Nodding at her explanation, Luco looks over to see Naruto and Toru finishing up. Maybe that's another reason why he chose a place so far from the city, so you and him wouldn't have to constantly keep up the illusion. Kobayashi just shrugs, maybe. Either way, I'm glad we were able to get that place. I have a gut feeling more dragons are coming sooner or later, she comments idly as Naruto and Toru set the plates down and call Cana over for lunch. Uzumaki Inn. By the time they get back to their new home, the clones have already managed to not only fix the place up, but they also managed to buy new furniture for the place as well. Including a new bed for Cana and a larger bed for the master bedroom, since it's going to be a guarantee that Luco will sleep in bed with them as well. As the family gets ready for bed, with Naruto personally putting Cana to sleep after making sure she brushes her teeth. As he arrives in the shared master bedroom, he sees Luco with a mischievous smile on her face. How about we christen the new bed? I still haven't received my welcome from Kobayashi, yet she purrs out suggestively, wrapping her arms around her mistress's neck, making sure to push her bountiful breasts, that could easily be felt through her sheer nightgown, against her back. Smiling widely, Kobayashi turns around and grabs Luco's plump ass. I think that's a perfect idea. Don't you, Toru? Yes, milady. Sighing, Naruto just shakes his head. Alright, fine, but just one round. You and Toru have work tomorrow, Kobayashi, and I'll have to take you since you haven't learned flight yet. Lemon happened. Next morning. Ugh, only one round, my ass, damn Luco. I might need to start using shadow clones on her. Groggy Naruto grumbles after waking up. Looking over to the clock on the nightstand and sees they have 2 hours before needing to go to work. Lord Naruto. As he is untangling himself, Toru sits up as this is her usual time of waking. Good morning, Toru, how did you sleep last night? He asks as he finally gets his leg out of Luco's grip and stands up. I slept well, master, how about you? Stretching out and yawning, just fine, but we need to start getting ready for the day, so can you wake these two up while I go get Cana? He says as he puts on some shorts as they were all naked in the bed. We'll all take a bath in the hot spring, my clones got up and running. Okay, master. Toru agrees as she puts on her oversized green shirt and moves to wake up her mistress and Luco as Naruto heads towards Cana's room after he makes some clones so they can start on breakfast. Walking in and seeing the young girl cuddling with her large pillow, Naruto smiles and gently tries to shake her awake, only to get a grumble. Come on, Cana, you need to wake up. Unless you don't want to go to the hot spring with me and everyone else. Shooting her eyes open and sitting up abruptly, Cana looks at him with wide eyes. No. I'm up. Naruto just chuckles at her over-the-top reaction. Well, come on then, sleepyhead. Toru probably already has Kobayashi and Luco up by now. Cana nods her head as she clambers onto Naruto's back, taking one of her 2 usual spots, making Naruto just sweat drop. I'm not a jungle gym, you know. The little dragon just tilts her head cutely. What's a jungle gym? I'll tell you later, let's just get ready for the day first, okay? Okay, Naruto, she mumbles as she begins to absorb mana from him. Am I some sort of battery as well? He internally asks with a deadpan. When the two finally reach the entrance to the indoor spring, they see Kobayashi, Toru and Luco already soaking. Taking Cana off his back and letting her get changed into a towel as he does the same, he sits her down and begins washing her hair. After they are done washing themselves, they join the others in the large bath. Good morning, everyone, Naruto says as he lowers himself into the warm water with Cana following right behind him. Good morning, Naruto, Kobayashi says, getting on his right while Luco takes his left. Morning, Naru. Toru takes Cana into her lap as she sits next to Kobayashi. Lord Naruto, I have work today, correct? Naruto leans against the wall and relaxes. Yup, after I take Kobayashi to work you got a shift while I'll be in the kitchen. And while we're gone, Luco will look after Cana. Okay, Luco says as she leans against Naruto's left. I think I'll walk with her around the city if that's okay. Should be fine, also take her to a park so she can play on the equipment there, but keep it to human standards, please. When she nods, he turns to his wife, and we're going to start lessons tonight since your work finally slowed down. Kobayashi nods in agreement, looking forward to it and hopefully learn how to do shadow clones while she's at it. Later. After breakfast it was time for Naruto to take Kobayashi to work. The two were wearing their usual work clothes as he was holding her bridal style until he reaches her building and sets down on the roof. Thanks, Naru, Kobayashi says in gratitude for the lift after she gets onto her feet. No problem, just come up here after work so I can take you back. The two then share a kiss before Naruto backs off and begins to float up. Have a good day at work, Maiko, I'll see you later. Kobayashi smiles up at him, you too, Naruto, and good luck with Georgie. She calls out with a smirk on her face before walking in through the roof access door. As Naruto flies back to their home, he can't help but wonder why Kobayashi mentioned their head maid before she left. It's not like he got another maid while she still had to wait. Fuck, she's not going to be happy. Arriving at the inn, he sees Toru waiting for him in the cafe uniform next to Luco and Cana. Alright, Toru, ready to head out? Yes, Lord Naruto, she says, stepping up to him. Alright, Cana, Luco, you guys have fun today and we'll see you when you get back. Or feel free to drop by the cafe, he says while rubbing the top of Cana's head and kissing Luco goodbye. Have fun at work, you too, Luco says as the two blondes walk away before looking to Cana. How about we go to the park now? Cana gains an excited look on her face. Yay. Made by Maid's Cafe. As Naruto and Toru reach the cafe, they see Georgie unlocking the door so she could get prepared to open up for the day. Oh, good morning, Mr. Naruto, Miss Toru. Good morning, Georgie, Toru says, bowing slightly to her head maid. Good morning, Georgie. Toru has a shift today, so I decided to come along and help in the kitchen. Oh my, that would help quite a lot, she says, putting a hand on her cheek before noticing a certain goth loli missing. And where's Cana? She's usually with you when Toru has to work as well. Naruto rubs the back of his head with his hand and looks away while chuckling sheepishly. Well, we may have gotten another maid to take care of her and the house while we're out. Georgie. Looking back at his future maid, he couldn't help but flinch at the face she was making. Georgie's face was in her usual eye smile, though he could see her left eye twitching ever so slightly. Her mouth was also struggling to keep its gentle smile, as he could see the annoyance clearly on it. "Oh, how wonderful," she grounds out in a sickly sweet voice, as her aura turns dark, and Naruto swears he could see the kanji for menacing floating around her head. Turning to Toru with her intimidating aura still on, "Excuse me, Miss Toru, could you go ahead and open for today? I have something to discuss with Mr. Naruto." Toru, who was slightly freaked out by Georgie's sudden change in attitude, just nods her head rapidly. "Just leave it to me," she exclaims as she rushes into the cafe to start getting prepared for the day, as the head maid faces Naruto again. "Mr. Naruto, please let us go to your office so that we may have our discussion in private." Gulping slightly, Naruto nods and follows behind her. What the hell? Where did this side of her come from? When they reach his office, Georgie quickly locks the door and turns to look at Naruto. "So, Mr. Naruto, what's this about having yet another maid?" Naruto sighs. "It's not like it was planned, Georgie. She was a friend of Toru's that came over for the house party we had yesterday. We had a few drinks and you had sex with her and she agreed to become your maid." Naruto sweat drops at the blunt but true statement. "Well, when you put it like that." Georgie lets out a long breath. "Fine." She suddenly takes off her uniform shirt, showing off her modest breasts covered by a white bra. Georgie, what are you doing?" Naruto asks, confused. The brown-haired girl slowly saunters up to him, making sure to put extra swing in her hips. "You and I are going to have sex, Lord Naruto." When he goes to speak, she puts a finger against his lips. "Yes, I'm sure. I know I'm supposed to wait till I get my degree from college, and I will before I move in with you, but for now." She reaches down and grabs hold of his hardening member. "I want to at least do it with you." Looking at her as she lowers herself to her knees and begins undoing his pants, he could only sigh. "Fine, if that's what you truly want." Lemon happened. A few hours later. "Oh, Miss Luco, Cana, welcome," Toru says as she sees the ex-goddess and lowly dragon come in the store while headed back to the kitchen after serving some customers. "Hello, Toru, after walking around for a bit, Cana and I decided to come visit," Luco says with a soft smile before looking around. "By the way, where's Naru? I don't see him anywhere." Toru guides the two to a booth. He's currently having a discussion with the Uzumaki head maid, Georgie, she explains while handing both a menu. Though they've been in there a while, she mutters while looking towards the room her master and Georgie disappeared to. Luco slightly opens one of her eyes and follows her gaze to see a room that has a gold plate that read manager before looking back to Toru. "Do you know what they might be discussing?" Writing down Cana's order for Omuris, Toru nods her head. "I believe it has something to do with the fact Naruto acquired you as a maid before Georgie could finish college and become one herself." "Oh?" She hums as she once again turns towards Naruto's office before looking back at Toru and smiling. "I'll have a lemonade and strawberry cake then." Toru gives a salute, "Roger," and heads back to the kitchen. Watching Toru leave, Luco can't help but look back at the manager's office again. A discussion, huh? She chuckles internally as it was obvious what the two were currently doing in that office together. Well, it was obvious to her at least. However, a few minutes later both Naruto and Georgie came out of the office, though there was a slightly noticeable limp in Georgie's walk. As Naruto looks around to make sure no one noticed anything, he saw Luco sitting with Cana, who is currently stuffing her face with the food she ordered. Sighing, he decided to take Georgie to introduce the two. "Hello Naru, how was your discussion with our head maid?" she asks with a teasing smirk on her face. Naruto coughs in his fist. Well, we were able to work things out. Anyway, this is Sakawa or Georgie, and she is the head maid for our family. Georgie, this is Luco, she takes care of Cana when others can't and also watches the house." Georgie bows in Luco's direction. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Luco. I look forward to working with you in the future." "Likewise, Georgie," Luco says, nodding her head. Georgie then looks over to Naruto. "I can see why you decided to take her in as a maid, Mr. Naruto," she says, then puts a hand against one of her blushing cheeks. "My master is such a lecher, I fear for my innocence," she says with faux concern on her face. Hearing her words, Naruto sweat drops. "Oi, you have no right to say that." Chuckling, Georgie turns her attention to Cana. "Speaking of which, why don't you send Cana to school as well? She could even become friends with Raiko," she says with some excitement, "then I can have an excuse to come over on the weekends, fufufu." She mutters the last part to herself. Choosing to ignore the last part, Naruto looks to Cana as well. "What do you think, Cana? Do you want to go to school with humans?" The young dragon looks up in surprise. "Can I?" And when Naruto nods, she gains a happy look in her eyes and nods her head rapidly to say she wants to. It's no surprise she seems so excited, she could hardly keep her eyes off the children that were going to school this morning, comments an amused Luco resting her head in one of her hands. "I was actually going to bring it up with you and Kobayashi tonight." Naruto looks at Cana and smiles. "Okay then, how about we go enroll you in school right now?" Toru seems to have the kitchen handled. He then looks at Georgie. "You can head home early if you still feeling tired, Georgie." The brown-haired girl just shakes her head. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Naruto, but I'll be fine. I'll make sure everything's in order while you're out. Okay then, let me go tell Toru, Naruto says as he heads towards the kitchen and tell Toru he'll be leaving early with Luco and Cana and to call him if she needs anything. I'll be fine, Lord Naruto, I'll see you when you get home, she says, then kisses him on the cheek. Alright Toru, see you. Walking up to the booth as the two dragons finished their food, you two ready to go. When he receives a nod from Luco and an excited shout from Cana, he smiles and beckons them to follow him so they could register at the school Georgie offhandedly mentioned her little sister goes to. The Boruzuka Elementary. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, peace out.